Case 24, Air Transport Association of America versus Cuomo. For this case, we find ourselves in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Facts. Following a series of well-publicized incidents during the winter of 2006-2007, in which airline passengers endured lengthy delays grounded on New York runways, some without being provided water or food, the New York legislature enacted the Passengers' Bill of Rights, which states, whenever airline passengers have boarded an aircraft and are delayed more than 3 hours on the aircraft prior to takeoff, the carrier shall ensure that passengers are provided as needed with electric generation service to provide temporary power for fresh air and lights, waste removal service in order to service the holding tanks for onboard restrooms, and adequate food and drinking water and other refreshments. Taking effect on January 1, 2008, the law also required all carriers to display consumer complaint contact information and an explanation of these rights. What's the issue? Air Transport asserted a claim under the Supremacy Clause and a claim that the Passengers' Bill of Rights violated Section 41713. The court held that the Passenger Bill of Rights is preempted by the express preemption provision of the Airline Deregulation Act of 1978 and therefore reversed. Here's the reasoning why. Air Transport could not sue for a violation of the statute. Section 41713 does not provide an express private right of action. The Second Circuit had previously held, regarding its predecessor statute, which is substantively identical, that no private right of action could be implied. Nevertheless, Air Transport was entitled to pursue its preemption challenge through its Supremacy Clause claim. The court took time to discuss a distinction between a statutory claim and a Supremacy Clause claim. Although seemingly without a difference in this context, it was important and was not a trifling formalism, the court wrote. A claim under the Supremacy Clause that a federal law preempts a state regulation is distinct from a claim for enforcement of that federal law. A claim under the Supremacy Clause simply asserts that a federal statute has taken away local authority to regulate a certain activity. In contrast, an implied private right of action is a means of enforcing the substantive provisions of federal law. It provides remedies, frequently including damages, for violations of federal law by a government entity or by a private party. The mere coincidence that the federal law in question in this case contains its own preemption language does not affect this distinction. The court held that requiring airlines to provide food, water, electricity, and restrooms to passengers during lengthy ground delays did relate to the service of an air carrier, and therefore fell within the express terms of the ADA's preemption provision. As a result, the substantive provisions of the PBR are preempted. The PBR substituted New York's commands for competitive market prices, requiring airlines to provide the services that New York specifies during lengthy ground delays, threatening a patchwork of state service determining laws, rules, and regulations, the court explained. Finally, insofar as the PBR was intended to prescribe standards of airline safety, the court noted that it may also be impliedly preempted by the Federal Aviation Act and regulations promulgated thereunder. The FAA was enacted to create a uniform and exclusive system of federal regulation in the field of air safety. It was passed by Congress for the purpose of centralizing in a single authority, indeed in one administrator, the power to frame rules for the safe and efficient use of the nation's airspace.